No big deal. I was just curious if that was a more dramatic situation than I remember it being. But I think Dusty's gear then is still functional, and so you can sort of line up around the Farm Boys gear and um, as as you're sort of surrounding him, you know, you the interference, the electronic warfare interference is just shuts down, cuts off all of a sudden, uh, and you hear Major Biraset, loud and clear over the over your comm saying, good work, Alpha Squad. Keep that situation locked down, and I'm coming up. I'll be on the scene in a couple of minutes, and I will. I'll give you further instructions as necessary. And so you hear that, and then um, Farm Boy says, "Y'all got that Major Bira set hot on my tail, huh? You know, she's a real piece of work. I reckon I'm not gonna see much of you anymore, Chalk. Being whisked away to some Black Ops detention center in Seshu. You know what they say happens to people in those places. It's pretty
Did they get
bad."
to that they the traitors bastards get what coming to them? Is that what they said?
Come on.
Come on, you open fire on your own, man. You're hooked up with a bunch of uh, no good smugglers, stealing high tech, stealing or taking possession of high tech military software and hardware. What do you think was going to happen?
Oh, he says, come on, Chalk. Just can't you cut me one break for old time's sake? You can have her, she says, but let me take my chances in the desert.
No way. First off, I'm not in command, and second, I'm not going to recommend that we give you any breaks. If you wanted my help, you could have contacted me in a number of ways.
All right. And he says, all right, well, he says, you weren't always this hard. I remember if you don't. And then he just turns off his radio and pops the hood of the gear and climbs out. And at that point, you've also got Fleas on the radio saying, "I could use some help. I use some help covering these guys. Some of them look a little jumpy."
So I'll say, Chuck, go see what Fleas needs.
Roger.
Partly to get,
Yeah, Yeah, Chalk will go. We'll jump. We'll go up there.
Okay.
Back up, please.
Okay. So that's just. I'll just move you up. Yeah. So he'll just ask you if you can take the ridge and sort of get another, a cross angle on them, just to make sure you've covered. Oh, did we lose you on the app? Oh, there you are. All right. Anyway. So anyway, the point of this is just to give you a closer look at what's over here, and so where that weird little, where this weird little token, like swirly windstorm token I picked is, what that actually is a large ornate entrance to a. Did I describe this last?
I don't think so.
Last game, I don't remember if I
so.
did. But it's a large ornate entrance to some sort of settlement or religious building, or that's cut into the rock, that's probably several hundred or even 1,000 years old. Now, of course, several hundred or 1,000 years ago, right, they still had laser cutters and drilling drones and things like that in this world, but they did have a sort of different taste, a very ornate and mythological taste, with strange creatures frolicking around the gates of this enormous cavernous entrance with pillars and things like that. And so it is a kind of a weird sight to see. But the various people you see here, so this is like about 20 people gathered around these two remaining long-running trucks, and there are pallets and boxes stacked up all around the trucks, mostly more liquor, and they're just sort of, the people around are just sort of standing kind of on edge. They're wearing kind of like goggles and like protective hoods for the weather, but they're very still and nervous, and every now and then one of them starts to walk somewhere, and Fleas announces over the loudspeaker, hey you, do not move. I said do not move, and things like that. And so some of them just sit on the ground cross-legged where they are and glare at you and Fleas balefully. But at that moment, I think, well, not necessarily at that moment. It's not a big deal that it's a moment, but at some point coming out of the mouth of the temple, you'll see a couple of more men who are sort of accompanying a woman in some kind of religious robes that look kind of similar to revisionist monk robes, but not the ones you're used to seeing. They're kind of on first glance you would say they're kind of southern looking in terms of the decorations are very ornate and baroque. These strange symbols and patterns, which are considered like overdone, or it's kind of like the difference between a Catholic and Protestant almost in some ways, and she's an older woman with a dark-skinned woman with very long white hair draping all around her robes, and they're sort of helping her down the steps from this entrance that you're watching. And while you're sort of watching these people and watching all this take place, what would be happening down down here is that I'll just put some vehicles here as mate to represent Major Beerus's caravan. I don't know if this is important, but
Sure. That's good.
but her little command caravan pulls up as Farmboy is kneeling the hunter and getting out, and just trying to think of something that seems plausible. You've also got this other... Oh, I have a name for this other prisoner. I have to think for a little bit about whether he will try something dramatic.
If it's obvious that the woman at the cave needs help, Chalk will get over the loudspeaker and tell them, set her down, give her some water. Just don't do anything suspicious.
Okay. They'll continue helping her down to the. She doesn't look injured or anything like that. Just maybe not up to scrambling around hills the way a young person would be. Right. Okay. Farmboy. After he kneels the mech and pops the hood. Inside, he's holding, set on top of the panel of the thing, he is holding the CPU unit of his gear with an access panel open, and he's pointing his sidearm. My camera's not on. I just now noticed that. And he's pointing his sidearm into the housing of the CPU. And, as you, like inside your cockpit, as you zoom in your sensors, you can see that he's actually crying profusely as he says, "I'm sorry, but you've gotta... I've gotta do this. You've gotta get me out of here. And you can have her. But just get me one of those trucks and let me get out of here. I'll take my chances anywhere. You'll never hear from me again."
So, I'm gonna say, no deal, Farmboy. Put the weapon down.
Okay.
And I'll, I guess I'll keep my autocannon on. Oh, Dusty's right there, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, she was closer to him.
Is it possible to, can a mech, I forgot if there's rules, is there rules for like a mech grabbing like a person? Like grab him, Dusty.
It's probably pretty straightforward. But let's see if there are rules. I'm genuinely curious. There might not be an official rule because the tactical game doesn't kind of deal with situations like this, right?
Right.
And then the role-playing game doesn't kind of deal with situations like this either, oddly enough. But I would say it's... Oh, this is where... what's that skill I told you was vitally important to initiative?
Combat sense?
Combat sense. There you go. So we're going to need some combat sense rolls. And it's Dusty?
Okay. Yeah.
Alright, so he's got 1d plus 1, which is the default.
Sure.
And Farmboy is a veteran, so he's got 2d plus 1. So he's got a 6. Oh, what do you have for
2. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So he clamps the hood back down as he sees Dusty reach out her gear's hand, and he says, now he gets onto his loudspeaker and says, "God damn it! Don't you try anything like that. This is my one card, and I will destroy this machine." No, he says, "I will." He doesn't say that. He says, "I will kill her."
Oh yeah. So
And-
I'm still. Oh, go ahead.
Oh. And probably Major Burasett at this point is kind of driving up the hill in her vehicle, and you hear her on the radio saying, "What the hell is going on up there?"
And I just remind me, we haven't. Burasett didn't tell us. Oh, Burasett told us that we had to. That the goal was to bring back the. What did I write it down here?
Well, she was very cagey about what exactly she told you,
Yeah.
so you may not know. You may not know exactly what her position is on the.
Yeah, she said that she expected there's a weapon installed in the Hunter.
Yeah.
But not but not necessarily the point is to get. But that was
Right.
it. So a weapon installed in the Hunter, but not.
Right.
But I know about the ANGAI. I'm just wondering if I'd had time to tell Micah about it. Okay, good.
I mean, that's up to you whether you thought that was something you would share. I think there was. Well, okay. I think the thing was though that you were worried about being listened in on if you tried to talk to each other by
Right.
Major Burasett. So I don't think. I think you decided not to communicate.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. So, knowing that I'm a little, I think I'll, and he's stopped. He's geared up again, right? I mean, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so I'll say, Dusty, shut him down, and then I'm gonna go into combat against him too.
Okay.
For the moment, until I hear otherwise from I can say to Burasett he's he's acting like he has a hostage, but there's no one there with him. We saw, he's powering
Right.
up again.
Right. Okay. So I think Dusty would probably take that as a. Well,
I kind of like that Dusty's close. I mean, I don't know if
So-
she do like is right there. So like, does she do like the hand to hand?
yeah, maybe with the knife.
EMP.
Oh, that's right, the EMP grenade. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Dusty
what-
has one left, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So give her a. I don't think he's got a good chance of powering up before that, or getting away before that. So I'm going to give him a little lower. What's Dusty's? So Dusty's piloting, I think, is 2 dice, right? Two plus one. Okay. I'm going to only give him 1 die. He did get a 7 though.
7.
Okay. So that's a. I actually don't know what to do. I failed to consider that possibility.
What happens in that time?
That
That's a good point. Let me. I must be all the way back in the beginning. I think. High goes the defender. I feel like in most of these rule systems, tie goes to the defender, but
I mean, it probably means that he. I'm going to interpret that as meaning that his gear grabs her arm before she can put it on him, and they're sort of locked in a stalemate there because he sort of can't. Now he can't try to leave the scene, which was what he was going to try to do. This is a little fast and loose with what a gear can do. He's, I did say he had pulled the CPU of the gear. I'm just going to assume that someone did some fancy reslotting it, and it comes back online pretty quickly.
The tactical turns are like a minute or something, right? Or like the
right, but I don't know. We're kind of not really in tactical turns. We're in dramatic.
Well,
we're in television time. Sure, he rebooted the gear.
Ties are a marginal victory for the resistor, so that's a tie. So
Right.
a marginal success for the victor.
Right. Well, that's why I was trying
Or the
to.
defender.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to figure out an interpretation that, like, he didn't get EMP'd, but he is not. He doesn't have freedom of action because he's kind of stuck trying to hold her hand.
Okay. And I'll Fika will advance too to kind of get the other side of him
Okay.
when I have a moment to move.
I don't think we have to fuss too much. I think you can go ahead and move in and make a.
So I'm like on the other side. I'm coming up. I'm flanking him. Yeah.
Right.
While this is happening, Chalk will get on the radio, tell Stitch to grab the other prisoner and clear out of the air, basically to clear the area. And she'll also warn the Major, it's like, we need to stay clear. We have 3 mechs down there doing a dance.
All right. She says.
For 3 gears.
Yeah, 3 keys. It seems almost impossible to remember that subtlety of vocabulary. All right. She says, what does she say in response? I'm always thinking there's a lot going on. She says, she just says, hurry up and get that. hurry up and get this situation secure. I've got too much on my plate on this operation to be to She just says, I've got too much on my plate on this operation to be held back now. Or to be stalled now. And don't let any of those prisoners get out of your sight. Anyway, so she's not giving you any particular imperatives or directions. So, is the point, except hurry up. So, what would Fika do now? I think maybe combat sense rolls are now for everyone are now a good idea.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So mine here.
Okay.
So Fika's got a 4.
Okay. So.
Want me to roll in for Dusty?
Yeah. Roll for Dusty.
Dusty got a. Oh wait, Dusty got a 5.
Okay, and Farmboy is a 5 as well. Boy, this comes up a lot. So what are ties on initiative? How does that work? Are they simultaneous? Oh, here we are. I got it. No fumbles. Simultaneous action. Okay. So he is going to draw his combat knife and try to cut the arm off of Dusty's mech gear.
Nice.
So,
and Dusty will go. Dusty will go again for the
EMP, right?
EMP, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like wrestling in there.
All right. So
the gears are starting to wrestle.
So this is a kind of a called shot thing. So go ahead. So we need. I think there's rules for a called shot. If there's not, I'll call it a minus. I mean, you're kind of all close in on each other. I call it a -1 on his die roll. So roll the. Okay, so first roll Dusty's defense versus his attack.
Okay. 7.
Okay, he's got a 5, so she does not get hit, and then roll her thing.
6.
And he's got a 7.
Okay.
So
it's like, yeah, he swings, but Dusty
I think
puts up her other, pushes like the knife out of the way with her.
Yeah,
other
I think
arm,
this is the
tries to
two-handed,
get the-
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're both now like both hands are grappling with each other, and it's a good time for Fika to have her initiative and come in.
And come in behind with the
right
with her EMP grenade.
Right.
See if that works.
Okay, what's the attack from behind? There's a roll for it. It's a
+1.
Oh, +1.
No, wait. Technically, it's a subtraction from the defense roll.
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
It's a
that's
minus.
right. That's right.
It's a -2. Well, -1 if it's the reflect. We're not doing the official tactical. I will say that you can get like directly behind him and stick him with the -2. So he's at a 4 for his defense.
I also just got a 4. So.
Oh, for crying out loud. Okay.
Would it be okay if Chalk tried something out of the box?
Sure.
Actually, she will literally say, "Fika, can I try something out of the box?"
Go ahead, Chalk.
By the way, I'm gonna rule that tie was that you stuck the EMP grenade on him, but it's a dud. It doesn't work. Visibly it shorts out and doesn't do anything. So you've got one left. Okay.
Chalk's going to try to get into the or access the hunter via electronics, or if she can remotely.
Okay. Go ahead
and roll 5.
Okay. So Angie rolled a 7, so this is actually a good opportunity for some cyberpunk wackiness. So I think like when you try to get into there, like you're like your systems are just shut down by this feedback that like generates a bunch of error messages, and then your screens all just start showing all of these images from the war of the alliance of northern soldiers and southern soldiers working and going about their lives and marching, getting out of their gears tired and exhausted, and you hear and a woman's voice says, he's talked about you a lot. He respects you a lot. He could really use your help right now. Can't you help him?
Do I have communications still?
No. Unless you want to talk to Angie. That's who you can communicate with.
Am I talking? Well, I'll say, am I talking to the AI? Am I talking to Angie?
She says.
Chuck might not think that, but she'll say, "Am I talking? Am I talking to the hunter? Am I talking to the AI?"
She says, my name is Angie.
Well, to be able to help him, I've got to communicate with my squad, Angie.
All right. She opens your communication lines back up.
Fika, let me come down there and see if I can defuse the situation.
We could use your help, Chalk.
So, and and then Chalk will say, "Can I speak to Farmboy?" To Angie, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. She'll say, here, she'll say, I will connect you. And then you sort of see, Farmboy's face on your screen, like in the emergency lights of the cockpit of this gear. He's sort of, his helmet is unsecured and his face is stained with tracks of tears and through the grime of his face. And he's, and he's saying, who's there? Who's there? As he's frantically moving is someone there? As he's frantically moving the...
Farmboy, it's me. It's Chalk. It's me.
Well, you picked a hell of a time to decide to have a conversation.
I need you to calm down. Okay. I'm coming down the hill. All right.
Well,
just don't do anything rash, okay?
And
everybody will get out of this alive.
Well, get your people off me, and then we can calm down.
I'll ask them, the CEO, if they could back up a step. It's only going to be a step. You understand how this works, right? Just a step.
Fine. A step is good enough.
I will switch channels, I guess, and say, lead the The other pilot asked that you back up just a step. I told him, not out of reach, just a step. If you could do that.
He's got to drop his knife.
Dan, I'll switch back. You've got to drop your knife, and they'll take a step back. You have my word.
All right.
Okay.
Spirits breath. Fine. And he opens the hand of his gear.
I'll say,
Right that.
Dusty, give him some room.
Oh, also, Major, if you could send up some of your people to watch these folks up there.
All right. She says they're on their way. They should have been on their way already. Actually, lost track of the situation. But yeah, she's sending it. She'll send in. She's sending in a squad of infantry, basically. And she'll sort of. She'll now sort of interrupt communications and say she'll address Farmboy by his actual last name, and she'll say, "I don't know what the hell you're playing at, Grievous, but you need to stand down and get out of that gear. It's going to be a lot worse for you if you make any more problems for me." Does anyone... Well, okay, tell you what. Does anyone want to also communicate at this point? Or have any questions for me about the context?
I think probably Chalk would just say, so that everyone would hear, it's like, "Sir, Major, he's going to give us the gear. Just give me a minute to help get him out of there." And if Chalk can, I mean, if there's if we even talk about PTSD in this this universe, she will say, "You know what it can be like for combat veterans.
All right.
Just let me get him out of the gear. Everything will be fine."
All right.
I have 2 in teaching, Major. I can do this.
Well, you could say like, "Yeah, this is what I do." You know?
Yeah, exactly. This is what I do.
All right. She says...
I teach corporals to shoot.
She says, "Fine, Sergeant. Let's see what you can do."
So, lead, I'm going to come down to about 10 meters behind you. Then I'm going to exit my gear. And I'm going to walk between you and Dusty, just so you know where I'm at all times. And then I will relay that information to Angie as well, and Farmboy.
Okay. I just noticed something on my little sheet of preparations. I'll actually... I'm sorry. Go ahead and tell me that again. But while you're coming over, Major Biraset will also tell you The The computer is more valuable to us than the man, Sergeant. Get a hold of it, and I'll put you in for a commendation. Frankly, if he doesn't make it out of this, that's a loose end I don't have to worry about.
Um, well, at this point, sir, at this point, we have to take into account. At this point, we have to take another player into account. So I think getting him out of here alive and well will be to our benefit. Chalk out. And then whenever you're ready, she will get out of her gear.
Okay.
And she'll sort of walk between. So she has Chica and Dusty on each side, and walk down.
Okay. So you they sort of are flanking the hunter, and you're sort of walking in between them, dramatically, perhaps with the rising sun at your back, and it rises in the east. Yeah, it works.
Okay.
Good job, me. Anyway, go ahead and it's like completely accidental. Go ahead and just take the initiative in terms of what you're going to say here. I don't think he's going to do anything until you address him.
Okay. Well, I guess first, Chalk will say, "How are you doing in there, Farmboy?"
He says, "How the hell you think, Chalk? Having a real shitty day is how I'm doing." And you were ready to fucking throw me under the bus a couple minutes ago, so I don't know why I should be listening to you asking me how I'm doing all of a sudden.
Because the situation is tight, Farmboy. Okay? There's a lot of moving parts here.
Well,
all right. Right now, and I'm not on the line with Biraset, am I?
Not. You don't have to be if you don't want to be. There's a sort of still a valid question on whether Biraset can be on this line without you knowing it. You know. If you want to,
we know though that Biraset is. Oh, sorry. We know that Biraset is definitely monitoring everything in my gear, but it was only my gear that's completely wired.
Correct.
Right, that we know
correct.
about.
Yeah.
That we know.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
In theory, you could make an electronic warfare check against Biraset to see if you can detect any interference.
Well, hopefully she won't roll as good as she.
Wait.
She'll keep rolling as bad as she did last time.
Wait. You're not in your gear. You're not in your gear. You're talking.
Right.
You're talking like with your mouth, and he's addressing you through the loudspeaker. So, I don't know. You would have to come up with a way to cut her out, to converse without her knowing, or possibly speak speak euphemistically in a way that he would understand. You know, we could build some backstory between you since you were in the same unit. If you want to think about ways you could possibly communicate with him.
Okay. So as she's sort of walking up, she'll be saying, stay calm.
Yeah.
And when he says, why should I talk to you? Chalk will say, well, you remember Captain Patrick's,
Right.
right? How that guy never could keep his nose out of everybody's business.
Okay. And he says, yeah, I remember. I think I see what you're driving at. I'm gonna come out and talk to you, but I'm holding on to this. I'm holding on to this CPU. I'm holding on to her.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm holding on to her.
Okay, that's good. Can you communicate with the CPU?
Yeah, I can run a feed to a badge microphone so she can talk. He'll basically kneel the gear and pop out. He's still got the CPU and his sidearm held sort of towards it. Maybe not as threateningly as he was previously, but it's sort of hooked up. He's still wearing his helmet, and there are wires going from it to his helmet and from it to, like a little microphone or a badge communicator clipped to his shirt. So he's sort of like all three of you can talk voice to voice in this conversation.
Okay.
Potentially,
As it,
well, you know what? You could also, like, right, or go ahead and say what you're going to say in response to this before I make any suggestions or go any further.
okay. First off, she'll give Sheikah a thumbs up, like things are going good. And if the major is watching, she'll also give the major a everything's going okay kind of hand signal.
All right.
So yeah, so when he opens up, she'll say, "Well, I have a question. If he damages the CPU while it's connected to him, could he kill himself too, or?"
I would say that's a possibility, just in the magical world of science fiction, and it's not
Right.
it's not an ordinary possibility, right? But this is sort of getting into super artificial intelligence and it's kind of super science stuff. So I would say that you would expect it. You expect it to be a dangerous situation for him. Yes.
Let's. Do you still smoke? Especially now that you're freelancing. She'll pull out her cigarettes, much to the chagrin of everyone else, I'm sure.
Yeah. He says, no, man, I gave that up when I saw the spirit. And she's really helped me a lot with that. Helped me with my beliefs, understand the world that I live in, you know.
I hear you. Tell me a little bit about it while I light up. But I don't smoke and I don't blow it in its face. I sort of to the side.
All right. He says, well, I had already been talking to Angie a lot when I kind of saw some of the border channels on TV. Well, let me back up. So after the war, I stayed in the service and knocked around doing kind of doing training and stuff for a while, kind of like you, but I got into this program you may have actually, it's possible that Chalk, I can't remember why I said Chalk knows about this. It's possible that you applied for this job at some point, right? But he got it.
Yeah.
And so he's describing, and so I was just driving Angie around in the Mac doing, seeing how she did on target acquisition tasks. And, you know, she was way more advanced than, I noticed immediately that she was way more advanced than any AI they've ever put a gear in before. You know, there's a lot of resistance in the brass to making these things too autonomous, and for good reason.
Oh, yeah.
But there's something they got right about the bond, the way the feedback loop works between Angie and her pilot. She makes you better and you make her better. And you're still in charge of the gross mechanical motions of the gear, but she always seems to know how to tweak it just right to get you what you want. And she's real curious about the world. And so I was telling her, when we were out on the range and out doing doing search drills, searching for hard to find targets, we would just talk all the time, and I told her all about how I grew up and, the religion and the churches we went to. And I started to realize that, I kept feeling like something wasn't full in my life, like I was going through the motions. And she helped me realize that. And that's when, like I said, I saw, because when we were in Seshu, you could get these stations from the Badlands, and I saw people talking about the divine prophet, and I just listened and watched and realized that they had this thing that was missing, this fulfillment, this richness to their life. They had tapped into it. They had seen the truth. They had seen the fire of how it felt to be alive when the prophet was alive, and to be close to him and feel the spirit coming out of him. And I realized that's what I needed. And I kept talking to Angie about this, and she was very, she never tells you to do anything, but she's a very good listener, and she helped me. The questions she asked helped me see that what I needed to do was to get to these people and learn from them, and I couldn't do that without Angie. And so I told her what I was planning, and she helped me get past the northern, the guard sensors, and she get, back past their sensor wall. And she showed me the right way to get to the people I needed to get to. And anyway, so that's how that all went down. The things she can do.
Is that how you got hooked up with these smugglers? Well,
look, these are the spirit's people, Chalk. The smuggling is just an unfortunate necessity. They don't have many options to get what they need to defend themselves and defend their way of life without making the kind of money that you just can't make legally in this country. This is a way all of these pilots who you were fighting, I've been working with them, trying to train them up. They've got people here who are excited to fight and to defend their communities and to have their own independence and their own way of life. And so that's what we're doing here, Chalk. The smuggling, I don't know, maybe it's too bad, but everyone does what they have to do in this world to get the life they think they're supposed to be living, and these people aren't doing anything but that.
Okay. So what's it going to take for you to put that gun down? I mean, you don't want to hurt Angie, do you?
No, I don't, but I don't want to disappear into whatever they've got planned for me back in Seshu. I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do?
Well, we could try something. I can't promise it's going to work. Angie, are you there?
I'm here, Chalk.
And so Chalk's like, Svika could tell that Chalk is sort of looking around a little bit nervously at this point. Maybe what we could say is that you were trying to, that you got a little bit overzealous trying to find out, to follow these leads, and the two of you were going to come back in of your own accord when this fight broke out.
He says, well, that sounds pretty thin, so the insanity defense
It does sound pretty thin.
basically is what you're saying?
No, the zealotry defense. You were overzealous in your pursuit of. Basically, I'm trying to keep you both from going from any undue experimentation. If we say that Angie made you do it, they're going to tear her apart. If we say you made Angie do it, they're going to tear you apart. If we say that you, in a moment of stress, decided that you wanted to, you exceeded your mandate, but you realized that what you needed to do was come back in, that might help.
Okay.
At least keep you alive in the short term. Right? Which is the goal.
He says, right. It feels like I'd be turning my back on these people.
Only long enough for you to put in your papers, retire with whatever kind of discharge they're going to give you, and you can come right back here.
All right. He says, all right, I'm willing to give it a shot. So,
Yes. All right. So at that point, Chalk will held out her hand for his pistol.
okay. And so he'll hand you the pistol, butt first, and sigh as his shoulders slump as like a weight is lifted off him, and he just heaves a deep sigh. Now,
And Chalk will say, Angie, are you good with his story? Chalk's kind of curious what she's going to say, actually.
Angie says, assembling a credible story is an intriguing challenge. I believe I have quite a bit of material in my media archives that I can draw on to support this line of defense.
Okay, good. Then I guess Chalk will get on her radio. She'll turn around. She'll wave her hands like everything's good. And then she'll get on her radio and say, we need a medic down here.
Okay. So you'll get a medic on the scene in a couple of minutes. There's someone with the squad that Beerus has sent to help cover the infantry or the smugglers. And so when the medic shows up, what do you want to?
This pilot's been under a lot of stress. He was trying to bring he was trying to bring the gear back in, and things got really hot, and so take good care of him. Make sure you inform. Who's in command of our section?
Crusher. His real name is Willie. Where'd I have this?
Inform the section CO that we have
yeah.
we have a prisoner.
Yeah. Dazan.
Yeah, Crusher Dazan. Yeah, Dazan.
Okay.
Yeah, tell Dazan that we have a prisoner, and to
yeah, actually, the rest of your section should also be converging on the scene as well at some point. So,
is this medic like regular army, or is he intelligence?
So it's kind of he looks like kind of a special ops type guy. So probably intel, the kind of person who was regular army, got attached to intelligence, and has done some stuff.
Some stuff.
Done some stuff.
She'll just remind him. It's like, remember how we don't. She'll just remind him of how we're supposed to take care of our sick pilots, right?
Right. All right. Yes, sir. And he's gonna administer kind of a mild sedative, and check his pupils and all that sort of stuff, hydrate him, that kind of stuff. And Biraset will then walk into the sort of the situation, and with a couple of men with firearms, ready to take him into custody, obviously, and say, "All right, thank you for your assistance, Sergeant. We can wrap this situation up now." And she just points to Farmboy where he's sitting on the ground, and says, "Get him in the vehicle. He's had enough water. He's plenty hydrated."
Major, he's not in a condition to inspect, sir. Sir, he's not in a condition for interrogation.
This feels
They
like
were bringing the gear back when all this went down. So you might want to
this feels like roll.
ask Angie.
Oh, right, yeah. This feels like roll time, and you are indeed enlisting the aid of Angie. How do we want to do this? So, what are our options to do this? Is there any kind of? Does anyone remember seeing any kind of coordinated, helping type rules in the set?
Yeah, I thought I did. You were assisting someone. I thought there was in skills there was. Of course, I've read so many rules recently. I don't know if I'm remembering it correctly, but
Right.
like there is no assistance rule in both Bay or Holmes.
Right.
But there is in 5e, and so I'm like, oh, can they help? Can they not help? I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not. Maybe hiding. What if I don't have that skill? Attribute set, chance test. That's interesting. Oh, I didn't realize that was an option. I'm just reading the rule book, and there's a couple of things that I missed the first time around. I don't think it's a. It doesn't seem like it's a thing.
Yeah. I'm clearly remembering the wrong skill set system.
Well,
I don't see a list so far of like generic situation modifiers for just checks in general, just the specific ones for the combat system.
Right. Well, let's think about. Let's see if we can get somewhere. Just thinking a little about what the context of this. So you're trying to sell this story to Major Biraset, that this is a sort of well-meaning rogue operation and not an actual defection, and then Angie can assist by basically altering her own records to show this sort of, the track of their, escape from, basically to produce a bunch of supporting like video and documentation that seems to support her story. Uh, and the difficulty there is that Major Biraset has actually been tracking the Angie project and sort of knows a little bit about what she can do. So it's not necessarily that easy. We might, honestly, if it's a case of making, just to use the resources we already know we have, let's make it a case of using electronic warfare to, see how well Angie creates this false record and whether Major Biraset can see through it or not. And how Chalk can assist. Pitch me some ideas. Does anyone have a spontaneous idea for how helping could work in this system?
Well, I was going to say,
spontaneous game design.
If you decide on a threshold,
right.
Decide on a threshold, and then you could just say that assistance either automatically drops the threshold by 1, or someone who wants to assist has to roll, and if they get a success, that'll drop the threshold by margin of success or something like that. Those would be the two thoughts I have.
Right. I like the idea. Let's have... It's an opposed roll, though. Well, I tell you what. Let's have you roll versus a threshold of 5 to try to... Wait. I'll have you roll versus a threshold of 4, and every point you exceed will put a -1 on Biraset's stat.
Okay.
And you...
I'm going to grab... Go ahead.
And you'll be rolling... Well, tell me what you want to roll. And
either since I'm verbalizing this, either leadership, trying to use my experience in the war to explain what can happen, when a soldier gets too enthusiastic, or teaching, I can patronize the major. Like, here, let me explain to you how this works, Major. Whichever you think, or
I think
might be better.
I think if you want to use teaching, I would kick the threshold up to 5 again, because she's higher rank. She's higher rank than you, so patronizing her is difficult. But I will buy that. So
then I'll do
leadership at 4 or teaching at 5 is your choice.
I will attempt leadership, and I will buy 2 emergency dice.
Okay.
Uh, 5 exactly.
5 exactly, and it was leadership, so you'll put a -1 on Biraset's roll. Now, I'll let you roll for Angie, and she's got, I think I was rolling 2 dice plus 2. I feel like I should give her 3 dice, though, to represent her seemingly supernatural ability to edit and collate this material. So take 3 dice plus 2, and it's going to be hard for you to lose, but you could lose.
6 total.
Okay.
My high score.
Biraset has a 6. Unfortunately, we don't know who's the defender. I guess philosophically, you're defending, Farmboy. So maybe it's a marginal victory for So I think she's suspicious, and she says, this is one of the most preposterous stories I've ever heard. But I can't prove it's not true. So fine. Look. We're taking Grievous back. I can cut him a break and put him in the Veterans Hospital under psych evaluation. And we will need his cooperation in investigating what exactly he did and what happened here.
Sounds fair, sir. Very wise of you.
Yeah, I'm just full of wisdom, Sergeant. Listen, you've been in contact with... You've been talking to Angie, right? I mean, you must have been if you were talking to Grievous. So congratulations, Sergeant. You're an intelligence asset now. I'll get in contact with you soon to debrief you on Angie. It so happens that we're now missing a test pilot, and we might be looking for another one. Your name was up for consideration before we gave the job to Grievous. If you're interested in the job, it would be very helpful to put Angie in the field some more and see what she can do in actual combat situations. I did manage to get quite a bit of data on that from this engagement. Again,
yes, I would be.
Thanks to all of you for that. All right. Well, unfortunately, I'm not done here. I need to check these. Prisoners down at the site. If you don't mind, I'm gonna keep your squad in the field until we've cleared this situation. But for now, take a breather. And she turns on her heels and walks back to her vehicle, and the rest of her convoy goes down to the what did I call it? Sort of this little valley where all of the people are being watched.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of a little space here to take a breather and think about if you want to do more at this site in terms of seeing what's going on for yourself. I'm trying to think. What are we, 9:30?
Well, Chalk is eager to tell Fika about the lady priest, because Chalk has been to church, but she doesn't really pay attention to that stuff. But she will want to relay everything that Farmboy told her, and then everything that she's seen. To Fika.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we can sort of see.
I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. So now that you're back, you can go ahead and, if you want to kind of stage a conversation between Fika and Chalk, maybe, like with everything with everything settled down a little bit, right? You might have a chance to settle down under a put up like a shade, and settle down under it for a person-to-person conversation, possibly over a cup of coffee.
Do that, or if Fika wants to, we can talk while I look over Stitch's gear.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, does anyone know how the field repair rules work in this game? Are there field repair? That might be just a fun thing to do to see if you can get this thing up and going.
Yeah.
Again. But you can go ahead and keep talking. I'll look that up and see if there's anything specific about repairing gears in here. Or it may be in the technical manual. I can consult my many source books that I've bought. Their plan worked, clearly. Little too late for them to actually get the money for it.
Yeah.
So thank you for letting me talk him down, by the way. I think it avoided a lot of ugliness.
He was. I don't think we could have. He outmatched. I'll admit it. He outmatched us. There's no way we were going to be able to stop him without risking damage to, whatever that was. I think Fika's still a little unclear on the whole.
Well, it wasn't just. I mean, Farmboy's a good pilot, good gear pilot. And probably not self-consciously, but Chalk will look around, make sure that no one's listening, and then she will say, but that AI is far more advanced than I think he understands. How can I describe it? It thinks. It has some kind of empathy algorithm within it, and and all that information that we remember when we came over, we were advancing, and it was messing with our communications, and all that information. I mean, it knows everything about us.
Oh, okay. That was that.
That was that. Or
I guess I should say that was her.
Yes, that was her. I don't even recall. I mean, Earth had a lot of advanced stuff, but I don't recall anything. I don't recall them having anything like that. So I'm not sure if the Major even knows what she's got on her hands.
I doubt it. She probably just thinks it's another. It's probably just a toy for her.
Yeah. Well, so she asked if I was interested in giving a test pilot in the field. Just to let you know. So if you don't want this in your squad, let me know, and I will let her know that. But I think it would be, I'll be honest, it'd be hard to turn that opportunity down, especially considering the electronic warfare advantage we would have in any fight.
We'd also have Barriset looking over our shoulders.
Yeah. True enough. And we honestly don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was just his stress and this empathy algorithm, or if there's something more. You know, pilots get attached to their gears all the time. Yeah. I try not to get too attached to them, but I mean, I guess, I still look at them as not alive per se, but like a pet maybe, or something like that. We don't know what kind of effect it's going to have, but then Chopper was kind of shrugged, but I think it would be an interesting opportunity to see what this thing can do.
I trust your judgment. I know I don't want anything. Part of me doesn't want anything to do with Barriset, but I think that after being on this mission, I think we're going to be on her radar anyways, and maybe we can put ourselves in a position to push for the right choices being made.
Yeah, I agree with that. Speaking of, Farmboy was telling me about, apparently he got religion, don't take that the wrong way, while he was doing the experiment, doing the test piloting. A lot of guys in the Earth War turn the same way, but I'm no expert, but and Chalk will run down some of the things that Farmboy told her, and when she, just some of the beliefs that he spoke about, and then one of the smugglers was escorting an old woman, an old priest. Not trust like any priest I'd never really seen before. That's at some point you might want to introduce yourself.
So, I can provide a little context.
And also, I wonder what's in the.
Oh, go ahead. Well, no, go ahead and with what you were going to say first.
No, I was going to say, and I'd like to see what's inside that cave as well.
Okay.
Let's take a walk over there.
Okay.
Get back in our gears.
Okay.
Sorry, Rod.
Well, I was just going to say when Chalk does describe the beliefs that that Farmboy described to you, you would recognize them as a sort of a well-known heresy called the Divine Prophet heresy. People have been arrested in the North for preaching about this, and it's pretty recent. But given your connections, you've probably at some point heard a sermon or seen a television program warning you to stay away from these dangerous beliefs, and talking about how maybe getting into the theology and like reading you see this line of scripture says this, and they think that means, but it doesn't, that kind of stuff. Again, this is where if they had bothered to flesh out these religions a little more, it would be helpful for me.
Right.
But the point is that yes, you would be aware that this is a kind of a well-known, recent belief system, that variation of revisionism that's considered heretical by the North, and that's what you would have been told. And I might.
But out here in the Badlands, it's probably more common, I guess.
Yeah, it's so it developed. You would associate it with, like, I tried to track down the NPC it's associated in the books, which I know I've seen somewhere before, but I didn't have luck this evening. I think it's something like a. Don't write this down yet. It's something like Adriana Yang, I think, but anyway, who is a major teacher of this. But so there is an NPC associated with this stuff that's gonna come up probably, but I need to figure out where in the books I saw that to get a little more background, or I could make it up myself.
Yeah.
That's one of the challenges of this game, is having all of this wealth of background information. You sometimes kind of feel like, but if I just look it up in the book, then I don't have to do the work myself. But then which book is it in? Where did I see that? Like, anyway.